Hello and welcome to my Bitcoin talk. Now, I'm going to need you to start from the beginning because I'm not going to repeat myself here, and I don't think I'm going to stutter either when I break it down for you exactly what's going on in HEX and what's going on in Bitcoin. Why did I make the audience wait today before I started my stream? Because there is so much deep fucking value in waiting, right? That's why. Because welcome to the buffet of knowledge. Maddie's going to break it down for you. I have had about 15 seizures in the past few days in order to accumulate all the knowledge that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So get ready to go to the moon. We're gonna talk a lot of Bitcoin. We're going to talk a lot of HEX and beyond. Let's do it. My name is Maddie ALLin. I'm a mental health and programmable money advocate. So what does that mean? That means that basically I'm really interested in macroeconomics. I'm really interested in hard money. I'm interested in solving really big problems such as income inequality, inflation, right? All these problems that our society is plagued with, right? And so I think I can offer some pretty good solutions, but I'm gonna tell you a few stories first to help you kind of put together my conclusions on where I'm coming from when it comes to encapsulated stakes, talking about Bitcoin and everything else. So first of all, I want to say, welcome to my show. You've seen me go for hours and hours on a single stream with Kareem, with Whales Only. You've seen me on Discourse Syndicate talking about HEX for hours and hours, right? We had an amazing stream the other day with the other mental health professionals in HEX. And the other thing that I've been up to lately is going on the clubhouse of Twitter called Spaces, becoming a beta tester, and not only creating rooms for people to talk about HEX, but more importantly, going into rooms of people who I find to be influential in HEX, so that I can bring my heroes to me to die. Because check it out, Richard Hart, he's a great guy and he's done a lot for our community, but it's not his job now to go out there and to educate people. It's the community's job. You know, I don't get paid, right? Well, I mean, I pay myself, right? Because I doing pretty well with HEX over here, but we're gonna talk about all of that. Okay, I want to tell a little story about what I did for a couple of hours today. Was going to a Twitter Spaces room with somebody that really I respect a lot. His name is Thomas Hunt, and he is the host of the World Crypto Network, as well as Mad Bitcoins. And this is somebody who really, before I found Richard Hart and before I found HEX, this is somebody that helped lead me down the right path. And this guy, he's never, to my knowledge, I could be wrong, he's never shilled me a Bybit link. He's never led me to the slaughterhouse to be a trader. He said from day one, you know, Bitcoin, it's something special. You need to hold on to it, and you need to hang on to it, right? You need to be the holder of last resort, as Trace Mayer would say. Well, I got the honor and the privilege to go live with him earlier today for a couple of hours. And so when I've been going live with these different Bitcoin personalities, you know, they're not going to see anything specifically in my profile picture or my name having to do with HEX, right? And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up my reputation with them, and I'm going to do some proof of knowledge. Okay. Everybody thinks that Bitcoin is protected by proof of waste or proof of work, right? Because you're just burning a bunch of electricity to keep yourself honest. But really what I've been dropping is proof of knowledge. And so what this means is that when I go into a Bitcoin room and I'm speaking and I'm representing myself, I'm representing the crypto community, and I'm representing HEX, right? And so my challenge to myself when I go into one of these rooms is to say the word HEX only once, to not get kicked out of the room, and to deliver so much of a Bitcoin sandwich to jam down everybody's throat that they can't help but get really confused whenever they heard me say one word about HEX, right? And literally that's all it is. I said one word, right? And it's a voice only platform when I'm on with Aubrey Strobel in Bitcoin. She's a hot chick. She's got lots of followers in Bitcoin, right? Brad Michelson. I think on Spaces, you don't really see everybody's whole name. So you just Brad something or another. These people, I'm thankful that the Bitcoin community is open enough to have somebody on. And guess what? I don't know how OG you have to be OG in Bitcoin, but I'm out here. I'll give you the rundown of kind of some of the things that I taught people in the Bitcoin community today, or at least added to the discussion, right? And that's part of, you'll see what my strategy is to basically play the best game I can as a HEX broadcaster. And so really, I've been in Bitcoin ever since it surpassed the price of the ounce of gold. Now, was I in Bitcoin a little bit earlier than that and I didn't even know it because I was donating to like some seedy places? Well, I don't know how seedy they were, but yeah, So really we can all maybe separate, like maybe it was the same time you came into Bitcoin and you really got into it, but for a lot of people, they heard about it a few times. Now, what's the one thing that really stuck out to me in the Bitcoin room today that made people, I think, start to have a little flicker of that light bulb go off? And for a lot of us in HEX, like, we already know. But HEX Bay is going to break all that. Well, it's not going to break it, and I'll explain why. The thing that got people really upset at me in the Bitcoin room is because I led them down a little path. And I said, hey, it's really great when you buy your Bitcoin and you don't sell it, right? And everybody's like, oh, yeah. Totally. We love buying Bitcoin and not selling it. And then I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of the Bitcoin code there. And I presented some other things first, right? Like I demonstrated the fact I got into Bitcoin when I did. I just said, I know how to program a Bitcoin node. I know about all the topics that are going on in crypto right now because I keep up with everything. So I can speak to somebody on any topic and I could show them how smart I am in crypto, right? And they're going to know I'm smart in crypto because I'm making points and they're telling me, Maddie, you just blew my mind when you talked about mental health and ADHD and how that relates to like getting a dopamine hit when you check the price of Bitcoin. And, there's this whole attention economy happening and, that's going on with this social dilemma and the matrix and like all these other things. People are bringing up these topics and I'm putting them together, right? And so I'm demonstrating value that way. And the part where we get the cognitive dissonance. So that means that somebody has like two ideas and they can't reconcile them. So like it literally creates a sense of frustration or stress in people's minds because they have, again, two pieces of information that are incompatible. One piece of information is Maddie said the word HEX once. And HEX is the worst thing that was ever created. It's a scam. Richard Hart this, Richard Hart that. getting paid APY, like that's worthless because like HEX is worthless, blah, 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 right? And I kept quiet during that part. Like, I'm just like, yo, like, I want to know, like, I didn't say it, but I want to know how you feel. Because like, I'm out here figuring out how you feel and how I feel, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be really advantageous. And so basically demonstrating a lot of value, helping people to see. And the two incongruent things are Maddie knows a lot about Bitcoin and crypto, and Maddie's in HEX. And so this, now I'm going to admit something, and I'm only doing it because it's my show. I did not spill the beans over there on the Bitcoin show, because guess what? If you're in Bitcoin and you don't know how valuable HEX is, I don't want you to know how valuable it is. And I didn't even say, I don't want you to buy HEX, which is what I was saying last week to people. Like, check it out. If I say I don't want you to buy HEX, but you know I'm in HEX, then you're going to be like, oh, Maddie's trolling. Dude, I'm not trolling. Like, I literally don't want you to buy HEX yet. Because check it out. I didn't want you to buy HEX when Bitcoin was $10,000. I didn't want you to buy it when it was $20,000. I don't want you to buy it when it's 30 or 40 or 50. If you don't know how much HEX is worth and you're holding Bitcoin, like, you're the mark. Like, I'm going to tell you when Bitcoin peaks and not any second before that. Unless you're putting in your time, doing your research, following my show, like, you're out. I'm in. People who are watching, you're in. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, but there's going to be a lot of omission going on when you see me on these Bitcoin shows, right? Because I want to buy HEX. I don't want people who don't appreciate it to buy HEX yet, because HEX is undervalued, because the APY of HEX is 0.015. Let that sink in for a second and understand that, like, the value of HEX. Yeah. So let's get back to Bitcoin. So all these people, they agree with me, right? Like, oh yeah, it was a good strategy in the past to lock your Bitcoin, time lock it, right? Why? Because everybody agrees if you bought into Bitcoin at 10 cents or at a penny or at $3 or $30, you probably sold. Unless you're Richard Hart. And now you have $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, and like, yo, people can hate all they want, right? See, but this, it's a ruse, and it's not the ruse that you're used to, because in HEX, like, HEX sounds like a scam, and that's really convenient for those of us who understand HEX, who have looked at the code, who live and breathe in the community, and who understand the time value of money, right? Bitcoin is literally valuable because people hold it. That's called being a store of value. You're storing your economic value across time. What's the problem with Bitcoin? Like, where do I begin? I love Bitcoin. I've still got a little Bitcoin that I'm dollar cost averaging into HEX. But like, check it out. The problem with Bitcoin is you can sell it at any time. And if you really understood how valuable Bitcoin could be, then everybody would be using the time lock function, and they'd all already be billionaires, right? And so that is proof right there that everybody has weak hands. And you know what? That's okay. Like, what are you going to do? Just beat yourself up all the time, looking at the chart, looking at, oh no, I sold, like, I needed something. Oh no, like, you know, I got scared, or I was moody. I was in my feelings one day and I sold some Bitcoin. Like, yo, I don't have any of those problems in HEX. Do you know why? Because I'm time locking my money and I'm getting paid APY. And the fewer people that understand that at this point, the better it is for me. And so anybody who's out there, like, trying to explain HEX to people, I hope you really love and care about those people. Or I hope you're like kind of like messing it. Like, I hope you're like messing up the pitch. I hope that it sounds too good to be true, right? And so like that's really convenient at this stage of the game. Let's talk about HexBay. And I kind of my nickname for this is the Bay of Pigs, okay? Because like you are a pig if you're so greedy that you want to have your cake and eat it too and pretend like you have a HEX stake, which is what I call a HEX fake. And so you could have all the F shares in the world. Biffness calls them FU shares because I forget because they're like financially undetermined. I'm not sure. Go back and listen to my stream with him on Saturday. But the idea here is that you're literally talking about Bitcoin. Like, hey, we invented HEX, something that like literally monetizes the time value of money by allowing you to stake, time lock your coins, and you get paid APY based on how long you lock. So the people who believe more in that one moment of clarity, now they don't have to keep being so strong. Like literally in psychology, we tell people in addiction training, we train people with relapse prevention skills. The idea is be smart, not strong. And everybody hears that and they're like, well, no, I definitely want to be strong because like I'm going to be in an environment all the time where my environment is like, tempting me. Well, check it out. Change your environment so that you aren't tempted all the time. The way that you change your monetary environment is by staking HEX. And now all of a sudden, no matter what you do, you got to wait. It's proof of weight instead of proof of waste. And guess what happens whenever you time lock your coins and you send them to your future self? You just made HEX more rare for a while. You just rewarded yourself, right? And now it's a good thing you don't have that money, right? Because like now you can count on it in the future. And so if something bad happens, now you just need to work harder and produce more for society in order to cover your expenses until you get to the point where you promised that you would have your coins out. And so all this hedging your bets stuff, I mean, it sounds like Bitcoin, right? Like Bitcoin, you don't have to time lock it. You can just hold it. And then every day you can look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, like, how strong am I today? How often am I going to check the price? Like, I check the price in HEX just for fun. It's entertainment value. It's not because I'm going to sell it, because I can't. If I try to sell my HEX, I staked long enough, thank God, that, I wouldn't even get my principal back. And that is a good thing, right? Because you're allowed to opt into this system. Now, when it comes to encapsulated T shares, like, let me break it down. There's a lot of things we could build into HEX that is not just rebuilding the old system. That is not saying, all right, you're going to get this little bit of interest and then you're going to be able to sell your T-share for a loss. Like, guess what? Why don't you just buy Bitcoin and then sell it whenever the price goes down and then buy it whenever the price goes up? Like, I'm sure there would be a lot less counterparty risk unless you tried to like send it to an exchange and keep it there. Like, why don't you find an old Mt. Gox address and send your Bitcoin there while you're at it, And why don't you go ahead and shoot yourself in the foot and all those cliches too, right? Like, I'm excited for encapsulated T-shares that are like fake because Kareem's going to buy them all, and then that's going to shake out weak hands and make HEX stronger. Like, and he's going to buy them at a deep discount, and then I don't care. Like, no skin off my back. But like, if you want real HEX and if you want real value, then why not buy into something that is decentralized? Bitcoin becoming more centralized. Like Bitcoin not developing cool things. HEX, well, their staker app, which includes social recovery, which that's kind of like a game changer for all of crypto. That's pretty cool. HEX utilizes decentralized exchanges. That's a game changer. That completely changes crypto forever. And like, you know, exchanges, they can like try to control the decentralized exchanges like they do. And then we'll just keep copying and pasting the contract for Uniswap into 1inch. And then 1inch, then we'll copy and paste it into like Pirate Swap or whatever HEX comes up with is their decentralized exchange. But like, the bottom line is you will pay dearly for staking HEX on a different layer if the goal of that contract is to introduce a middleman who gets a little cut and to introduce the opportunity for you to ruin your own savings plan. Like, how exciting is that? Right? Like, and I don't know if I'm going to have a referral link for all that. It literally doesn't, like, probably not, because like you don't see me shilling Bybit like some people that are named Conrad Zen in the community. But like, you know, Conrad, he's okay because like he called out QuickSwap is like being controlled by Binance, which may or may not be true. But bottom line, like layer 2 is for fools. And I don't care if I have to buy Elon's NFT tweet of him holding a flamethrower and then burn down the entire Bitcoin thesis, right? I don't care. I'll do it. But I'm not going to explain HEX as well as I can to people in Bitcoin until Bitcoin is done mooning. Like, guess what? Now you have to buy in higher and I get to buy in lower because I'm buying now and you're not. Like, that was the funniest thing when I was in this Bitcoin group earlier. They like all expected me to like kamikaze in and be like, buy HEX, buy HEX, buy HEX. Like, yo, don't like, but I couldn't even say don't buy HEX. Cause then they would have been like, oh, he's trolling. Like, well, like it was a thing of pure beauty, right? Because I know a lot about Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I really like Bitcoin whenever it can put a lot more value into HEX. So, not bad. Not bad for a day's work. We know about encapsulated T-shares being bunk, being fake, Bay of Pigs. Let's see what all these comments are about. I got no problems with HEX, people. Like, I bought the other day on Friday night. I did a swap for $15 on MetaMask. And I staked HEX for like $10. Yo, I just sent money to my future self 15 years in the future. Literally through the fourth dimension of space-time. And it only cost me $25. Like, and go ahead and say that like all the money I sent, it's lost forever, right? Because like HEX is going to fail, blah, blah, blah. Yo, like that's all mad profit. Like literally, I'm out here like testing things, playing with these like $10,000 Uniswap, you know, like gifts. All these airdrops, it's crazy. That's another thing I tried to tell Thomas Hunt, and I might message him because I do like the guy, even though he doesn't understand HEX, and not very many people do. But he made some NFTs back in the day. He speaks against NFTs now, And I really think he should get his airdrop from Merle.art. Hexologist claimed that was $3,600. Like, bro, you could get like 7% of a Bitcoin for that. Get some more Bitcoin, bro. Like, keep misunderstanding Hex as long as you can. Thumbnail game. Thank you, David. You know, I work really hard on these thumbnails and I really like them. It's an honor to have people to view the thumbnails. If you're a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell. Sell me all of your Hex. I'll pay you in Bitcoin, and we'll see who wins at the end of the day. Smash that like button, you dumb plebs. What's shaking? How's it going, Matty Crypto? Crypto learner. I thought about the pros and cons. Damn, I think it won't. I think I won't use it, but it could get traction. Maybe it's too early to drop a project like this. I would have seen. Okay, all right. You got me back on track over here. Because like I said that there's lots of good things we could build on layer 2 of Hex other than devices to shoot ourselves in the foot and to like make infinite moments of weakness in the future, opportunities to sell our Bitcoin at $1, aka sell our Hex under $10. People don't even know. Like, keep not knowing, people. I'm gonna like. I try to sound like a broken record, but I keep learning so much about Hex and about everything. Really, it's just so exciting. Mental health, people. And this is an idea that I'm going to keep developing. But the idea is one of the beautiful things about Hex is that you can pay yourself in the future. And so you're creating a savings plan within the truth engine of Hex, right? So that it's literally just a time lag. It's like, it's not that complicated, but it's never existed before on a decentralized platform in the history of the world. So it is a super big deal. And if that wasn't good enough for you, let's talk about some mental health. So contingency management has the strongest effect size in all of psychology. And that means paying somebody to like quit their drug of choice. Like that's more effective than talking to them about it for like a year. You could literally just pay people a ton of money. You could literally take the amount of money that it costs to pay somebody like me to talk to somebody to convince them to stop using drugs. And you could just pay the person and all you have to do is have a way to verify it, which you're already doing when the person's talking to them. It's just like, it's a really underappreciated, but it's, you know, the science is there, right? So the science is there. You could pay people. And guess what? We already do that. It's called work, right? You go to work and you do things. You get motivated by money, right? Money is a generalized like reinforcer. So the thing about programmable money that is going to be a game changer for humanity and like save the world from like a centralized like clusterfuck is the idea of paying yourself. Okay. So with Hex on layer 1, you can pay yourself to save for the future. My proposal is that what we should be building on layer 2 of Hex should be paying yourself not for a time lock, but for a behavior change lock. So the idea is my goal is to quit smoking tobacco cigarettes. Like, well, now you can lock up your money as much as you want. And now you have to quit smoking for whatever time you chose in order to unlock your money. And you heard me talk about it with all the Hex psychologists, but I just want to throw that out there while we're having a discussion about encapsulated T-shares. They're like, literally, there's an endless number of behaviors that people could improve. Like me, I'm just like all of you, you know, I'm enjoying my Hex gains. You know, I get paid every day on paper and I got stakes coming out every year. might not even need the money because I'm still working my job only half time, so I can spend the other half of the time trying to educate people about why they shouldn't buy HEX so I can buy it all before they do. And yeah, I know I'm such a nice guy, right? And so there's some behaviors I'm trying to change, right? Like I'm trying to get healthier. I've started going on a 4-mile run every day, right? And that's, so everybody's got their own goals, right? It could be to lose weight. It could be to get better sleep. It could be like, do you know Fitbit they have like a device now that can tell if you're yelling at somebody. So like Fitbit already has an API. Like all of this stuff is built and ready to go. Just plug it into HEX, say, I don't get my money until I don't yell at anybody for a month. Guess what? You just earned some APY. And the more useful things that we build on HEX that don't involve like breaking our promises and mimicking Bitcoin that you can sell whenever you want and like rewarding middlemen, right? Like number go up. HEX becomes rare not only because you time lock it, but because you behavior lock it. So get with the game, people. Like send your developers my way or let them steal my idea. I don't care. The bottom line is we should all be working towards developing behavior locks that pay you for behavior change in HEX, because guess what? That's the best use case for money. It's to pay yourself just like somebody else pays you. To like work and do their work and like whatever job you have, like you're doing work for somebody else. And you might work so hard to get ahead that all of a sudden you're not even taking care of yourself the best that you could, right? And then some middleman or woman like Janet Yellen ends up walking away with all your savings anyway, if you're saving in the US dollar. Or Michael Saylor comes along and like buys all the Bitcoin, and now everybody's sitting around looking like, yo, I thought this was supposed to be decentralized. Like, why is it that all the Bitcoin, all the billionaires are buying Bitcoin? Oh, yay, the number went up, but like, what now? Let me tell you what, like, games can change, all right? And that's why I believe in HEX, is because I don't want you to believe in HEX, because I want to buy the HEX. Like, that's my closing argument every time. And I've been thinking about paying people for behavior change since I found out about Bitcoin. And the reason why this is going to go a lot farther than Bitcoin now that we have HEX is literally because while all the billionaires are buying Bitcoin and they think they're going to control that and they're going to control fiat and they're going to own everything in the world, all the property, all the production, right? All the natural resources. Like, here's this little group of people over here in HEX. We got 20,000, 40,000 people. Most of the people, they don't even care because they got their HEX and they're done. Like, they don't watch live streams. We got more people watching live streams now than Bitcoin does. But like, most of our people aren't even here, right? They're off like living their lives, being their best self, right? But check it out. When people unlock the ability to motivate themselves by paying themselves for behavior change, that changes the world in a way that increases productivity like never seen before. You thought the Industrial Revolution was cool? Wait until you see I don't know what we're going to call it. Some other kind of like the paying yourself revolution. I don't know. Like, I got a team of marketing people. They're working around the clock trying to come up with a better name. So nobody let them out of the basement because, you know, they got to get something good here. So basically, I mean, that's the idea. And it's not that hard. We can make it into modules, and when people are able to pay themselves to have a better life, right? Like, the reason why you can't do that with fiat is because you have a centralized entity. And so that already exists, and like, what's the point of that? The reason you can't do it with paper money or physical money, again, is because once you hold that money, it's not going to motivate you anymore. Literally, you're just working for all this money so that you can have it, you can hold it, and like try to store the value over time. And then you can spend it on something, right? In the end, like, you want to transport your economic energy over time. Guess what? You yourself are too centralized for that shit. Like, Bitcoin, I know it's working because like the numbers going up, but again, like, there's so much more we can build if we look at money and we look at programmable money for what it's meant to be, right? Which is to free the world, right? And it doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you put into people's hands, like, they're going to spend it on stuff because that's what people do, right? Because people are programmed by the Fed that keeps inflating the money supply and making your savings go down and down and down. Like, that programs people to be short-term thinkers. And the only way to program people to be long-term thinkers is to introduce the time lock into your money, right? Again, people got all butthurt, or they were going to, and then they didn't, whenever we were in the Bitcoin chat. And I just brought up, like, Bitcoin does have a time lock feature. Literally after everybody said, I wish I would have held more of my Bitcoin. Like, I wish it, like, you could tell. People didn't want to admit that they sold their Bitcoin, but everybody was agreeing, oh yeah, like, everybody else sold their Bitcoin and they shouldn't have done that. Guess what? It's possible. It's literally possible to program yourself with HEX to save for the future. And if that doesn't have value to you, then don't buy HEX because you don't understand money. Literally, the function of money is to transport value over time. Your economic energy, it's supposed to hold that, right? And so who's your worst enemy? Well, probably the Fed. And then second off, probably yourself, because you've been programmed your whole life to be a short-term thinker. And it doesn't matter how much you get into the Bitcoin chat and you talk with everybody else about never selling. Guess what? Like, you're going to get married, you're going to have a kid, and then you're going to sell. Like, so don't come to me talking about generational wealth and you never locked any value before. Like, you gave yourself every minute of every day the opportunity to sell whenever you could have proven to everybody that you were going to hold. Stop talking about holding and prove it. Take away the keys from yourself. You're drunk. On number go up. Go home. Reevaluate your life. Look at yourself in the mirror until you go blind, and then like come back and let's talk about HEX. Because what I see in HEX is $500 million locked up. How much do I see locked up in Bitcoin? Not that much. And then the way people talk about HEX, like, I didn't even correct them. Straight up, people were in there like, if you held Bitcoin, like, you do better than if you held Ethereum. These are Bitcoin experts. And they don't know that Ethereum did better this year. Oh my God. And then they're talking about like, HEX is a shitcoin. Or like, don't buy shitcoins. Like, I got a good one for you guys. I'm going to be like Richard. Like, I got to tweet this out. Like HEX is not a shit coin. It's a it coin, because it is the it coin, and we need to not tell anybody about it, because I would rather people accumulate it who have done their homework and who are with the program and who understand what they're holding is something that literally is the definition of the value of money, except better, because what's better than having a money that stores its economic value over time, aka having adoption, having people to spread the good word, and having a known economic policy going forward. Okay, Bitcoin, HEX, Ethereum, kind of, I don't really understand what the supply cap is there, but you say you're going to start burning Ethereum with every transaction in EIP 1559. Okay, great. Like, show me the proof of burn. You know, like, literally, I went into my burner phone this past day or so. Like, I had a tab pulled up that was like June 2020 Ethereum 2.0 launch. Like, literally, it's hard to make good code. So thank God Richard Hart was working on his code for like 3 years after he already made millions in Bitcoin, after he already made millions in everything else. Like, thank God we have Dev Kyle, who knows what he's doing. He worked for Netflix. He wrote a good part of the HEX code that I've reviewed. I haven't reviewed all the code, but like, I know my favorite line, and it is line 718 of the code. And that says that the maximum you can stake is 5555 days, or 15.2 years. And that leaves meat on the bone. If you could do a 30-year stake, then I would have already done all the 30-year stakes after I was like 6 months into HEX and realized like how valuable time locking is, right? So literally, the value of money, the only thing better than having a known economic policy in storing value across time, like, isn't that great? Just that. Having just that. You got that with Bitcoin. You got a bunch of people who have to like agree on what file to click so that they're all running the same node. You got a bunch of miners who have a security racket going on, who are trying to burn as much electricity as they can to keep the system honest. Miners aren't your friends. They have to sell Bitcoin. They have to dump on your head and dump the price down. The price of something goes up when people don't sell it. So what could be better than having a known economic policy? Oh, maybe like stopping yourself from selling years into the future. Oh, that's not valuable? Oh, rewarding people with APY in the currency of HEX. Like, yo, let's build another layer for all these Bitcoin people, and they can give me their money, and I will pay them in USD, and then I'll just get all the HEX. Like, any way we cut it, I'm getting the HEX. All right. Anyway, because it's so simple what gives money value that it's like, it's hard to wrap your head around. And you heard me say it before, like, I already had 15 seizures this week, like, because my brain was going off so much about listening to the other streamers in HEX and in Bitcoin and realizing what the fuck is going on. Deep fucking value. It's like Wall Street Bets says, it's like roaring kitty. It's like, come on here, Bitcoin people, come on here and talk to me about any topic. Like, yo, Richard Hart, he's like, you know, he's awesome. And guess what? It's not his job anymore to talk about HEX. Like, because we don't expect anything from the work of others, because HEX is not a security. So, like, hit me up. I got my DMs open. Let's go. Let's tango. Come and talk to me about how great it is to hold Bitcoin and to not use the time locking function in Bitcoin, and then go back and look at the chart and see how helpful it was to not lock your Bitcoin. Oh, like the best case scenario is you didn't sell. The only case scenario in HEX when I lock the coins is like the coins stay locked, right? Like I don't have to trust myself, right? I don't have to trust the government. I don't have to trust anything but the code. What does that sound like? Oh, the fairy tale everybody tells you in Bitcoin. But I got to trust the miners. I got to trust the exchanges. I got to trust the nodes. I got to trust the wallet, you know, and I got to trust myself to not sell when the price goes up incredibly high. It's $1 million to sell a Bitcoin. Like, great. Now I can buy more HEX. Except go back and look at the chart. The price of HEX did better than the price of Bitcoin. Like, let's talk about that. I mean, what else? Like, what is there to say? Hexologist is coming on in 4 minutes. Like, yo, I hope you learned something today. That like, if you don't lock your money, it is less valuable. So if your plan is to not lock your money, go buy Bitcoin. And then throw a pizza party for yourself, you know? But don't go into layer 2 HEX. Don't get some fake F shares. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And if you do, guess what? There's going to be people there to take your value back when you're the weakest, right? And you're going to be able to be like everybody else in every other crypto and cry into your pillow until it's soaked why you left yourself the option to sell. Good job. Like, talk about stabbing yourself in the back, shooting yourself in the foot. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Oh, you really thought the price of Bitcoin was going to keep going up forever? That's what you've been saying. Well, why don't you put your time lock where your mouth is, right? Oh, because you don't know how to. Oh, because that's not even important in Bitcoin. I wonder why that is. Is that because everybody who streams in Bitcoin, except for Thomas Hunt, is trying to get you to exchange your Bitcoin for everything else and then exchange it back so the middlemen can get the fees, so the exchanges can get rich? Go look at the chart of the top 20 coins. Look at the fake chart of the top 20, and you're going to find a bunch of exchanges there, right? And the only other thing you're going to find is a bunch of things that are controlled by exchanges. Like, can we think of any better way to make middlemen rich and then pat ourselves on the back that we're part of some decentralized future? Literally, Bitcoin is Fedcoin now. It's tracked, it's held by corporations, and everybody are like Main Street sold too early, right? And they're not buying back in. And if they buy back in, it's going to be at a higher price. All you had to do was time like your Bitcoin, and you fucked up. That is all you had to do. And then we wouldn't have had to make HEX, and we wouldn't have had to make more money than you did. Pick any point. Come talk to me. Bitcoin stimulus, it's worth $10,000 or $11,000. HEX stimulus, $18,000, and we're 50% down from our peak. And we're getting paid 40% APY if you lock for 5 years. Yo, that HEX stimulus is looking more like $40,000 in my wallet. I don't know about yours, but did your $1,200? No, because your weak pleb Bitcoin lying hands kept talking about turning your stimulus money into Bitcoin, and then you sold too early. And guess what? You sold too early if you sell at 100,000 and at 1 million. I rest my case. I'm going to give you the link to the Hexologist. We're going to keep this going. Literally, I'm like trying to raid the hexologist over here on Twitch, and it's telling me like you must subscribe to yourself in order to like post a comment to raid. All right, everybody go check out the hexologist, twitch.tv/thehexologist. Let him know where you're coming from and what you learned. And tune in tomorrow for the Hex Quant Gang. And what does that mean? We're going to do all the quantitative analyses you've ever dreamed of. We're going to get you hyped up to buy Hex and to live your best life. So this is Maddie ALLin signing off for now. Take care.